Dark clouds covered the alien sky of Zerath. The wind howled like a hungry beast. Lightning cracked again and again, flashing over the red ground. In the middle of the storm, a young alien woman named Lyra lay inside a shallow hole. Her skin was pale silver, her eyes faintly glowing blue. Her body did not move, but her heart was still beating. Slowly, weakly. Her family stood above the grave. They wore long black coats that shined under the rain. Their faces were cold. "She is a shame," her brother said. "A weak body, broken mind. The council will laugh at us if they see her alive." The mother looked down one last time. "Forgive us, Lyra," she whispered, but her voice was empty. "You were born wrong." They began to throw wet soil over her. The first handful hit her chest. The second hit her face. Lyra tried to move, but her arms were tied. Her mouth could not scream. The dirt filled her mouth, her nose. She felt darkness swallowing her. Her breath slowed. Her heart began to stop. When the last rock fell, the storm grew louder, as if the sky was crying for her. Hours passed. The rain washed away the family's footprints. Only a small mound of wet soil remained. Deep under that soil, Lyra's faint mind whispered to itself. Why? Why did they do this? Her last thought was not fear. It was anger. Then everything went silent. Far away through the storm clouds, a small human ship broke the atmosphere. The pilot, Ethan Ward, a human explorer from Earth, was flying alone. His mission was simple: map the hidden lands of Zerath and collect samples for the Human Alliance. But the storm threw his ship off course. "Warning. Altitude failure," said the AI voice inside the ship. "Hold together, girl," Ethan said, fighting the controls. The engines screamed as lightning struck near him. The ship spun and crashed into the red sand, sliding across rocks before stopping with a hard thud. The world went black for a moment. Then Ethan opened his eyes. Smoke filled the cockpit. He coughed, pushed the door open, and stepped out into the cold wind. His scanner beeped softly in his hand. No signal. Wait, he frowned. A small green dot blinked on the screen. Heartbeat detected? Out here? Ethan followed the signal through the storm. He walked past broken rocks and glowing plants that shivered in the rain. The signal grew stronger. He stopped near a small hill of disturbed soil. He knelt, touched the ground, and froze. Something's alive under here. Without thinking, he dropped his scanner and began digging with his hands. The mud was heavy and cold. Each handful made his arms ache, but he didn't stop. "Hold on, whoever you are," he whispered. "I'm coming." Minutes passed. His fingers touched something soft, skin cold like ice. He dug faster. Soon the shape of a face appeared. He gasped. It was not human. Her skin shimmered faintly even under the mud. Blue light flickered from her closed eyes. "An alien," Ethan muttered, "but still alive." He pulled her body free and laid her on the ground. Her chest moved weakly. He pressed his ear close, faint breathing. He quickly opened his pack, took out a small oxygen injector, and pressed it to her neck. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then Lyra's eyes opened. They glowed like stars under the storm. She coughed out water and dirt. Her body trembled. Who are you?" she whispered. "I'm Ethan," he said, helping her sit up. "You were buried alive." "Buried." She whispered the word as if it burned her tongue. Memories flashed. Her brother's face, her mother's voice, the sound of falling dirt. She shook violently. "They left me. My own blood left me." Ethan wrapped his jacket around her. "You're safe now." But Lyra looked at him with confused eyes. "Why would a human save me?" Ethan gave a tired smile. "Because you needed help. Doesn't matter what you are." For a moment she stared at him. Then tears mixed with the rain on her face. She whispered, "You should have left me there. They will come if they know I live." "Let them come," Ethan said quietly. "I've faced worse." She almost smiled, but her body was too weak. Ethan lifted her up gently and carried her toward his ship. Behind them, lightning struck the ground where she had been buried, lighting the sky with blue fire. Inside the damaged ship, Ethan placed her on a seat and scanned her body. "You have broken ribs, low oxygen levels, but you'll live." Lyra looked around at the strange human machines. Everything was new to her. Soft lights, humming sounds, warmth. "You shouldn't have saved me," she said again. "Now they will want to kill you too." Ethan checked his tools. "Then I guess we'll have to stay hidden until you're strong." He didn't notice her eyes glowing brighter, studying him. In those eyes, two things lived together: thankfulness and revenge. When she finally whispered, her voice was calm but cold. "They buried me alive, Ethan. I will never forget the sound of the soil closing over me." Ethan looked at her, unsure what to say. "You'll get your chance to live again. Maybe even forgive them." "Forgive?" she repeated softly. "No. I will remember." Outside, the storm started to fade. But deep in Lyra's heart, a new storm was just beginning. As the ship's engine slowly hummed back to life, her eyes stayed open. She watched the dark clouds roll away and whispered in her alien tongue. Words Ethan didn't understand. They meant, "The dead shall rise, and the guilty shall fall." The storm was gone, but the air on Zerath still smelled of wet soil and smoke. Inside Ethan's broken ship, faint lights flickered. The cabin was small, filled with strange earth tools and humming screens. Lyra sat quietly in one corner, wrapped in a silver blanket. Her glowing eyes followed every sound, every breath. Ethan was fixing a metal pipe near the control panel. Sparks jumped around his hands as he tightened it. "That should hold for now," he said, wiping sweat from his forehead. "You'll be safe here until I find a way to contact my team." Lyra tilted her head. "Your team? They are humans like you?" He nodded. "Yeah, explorers, scientists. We travel to other worlds, learn, help where we can." "Help?" she whispered. The word felt strange on her tongue, almost like it didn't belong in her world. On Zerath, help was a word for the weak. No one helped the broken. Ethan noticed her silence. "You've got that look again," he said softly. "Like the whole universe did you wrong." She didn't answer. Her fingers trembled slightly as she looked down at them. "You wouldn't understand," she said. "Humans don't bury their own blood alive." Ethan froze for a moment. "No," he said quietly. "But we've done cruel things too. Every world has its monsters." Hours passed. The ship grew warmer. Lyra finally stood, weak but steady. Her legs shook as she walked toward the small window. Outside, the alien sky glowed faintly purple. "Your world," she said slowly. "It is kind to you?" Ethan looked up from his console. "Earth, not always. But it's home, and we keep trying to make it better." She turned to him. "On Zerath, kindness is weakness. My people worship strength. When I was born, I was different. My body didn't heal fast. I couldn't run. I couldn't fight. The council called me a curse." Ethan frowned. "You were just different." "That's not a curse." Lyra's eyes flashed brighter. "They thought it was. Even my own mother. She believed killing me would bring them honor." The air inside the ship turned heavy. Ethan didn't know what to say. He could see the pain in her face, the kind of pain that doesn't fade. "You don't have to go back," he said after a while. "You could come with me when I leave." "My people," Lyra interrupted. "No, I must return. I must face them." Her tone was calm, but her eyes were cold fire. Ethan sighed. "You mean revenge?" Lyra didn't answer. She walked slowly to the console, touching the glowing screen with her fingers. The light reflected in her eyes like blue fire. "I mean truth," she said. "They called me useless. But I was born with something they fear, a gift they tried to hide." "What gift?" Ethan asked. She looked at him for a long moment. "I can see lies," he blinked. "See lies?" "Yes," she said softly. "When someone lies near me, their skin pulses. Their heartbeat changes color to my eyes. It is a curse to them, but a gift to me. That is why they buried me. The council's power is built on lies." Ethan leaned back in his chair, shocked. "That's incredible." Lyra smiled faintly, but it was not a happy smile. "No, it is dangerous. That power makes me a threat." She turned away from him, staring at the dark ground outside. "When you saved me, Ethan, I thought humans were like my people. But you are different. You see weakness and still choose to protect it." He shrugged. "I don't protect weakness. I protect life," her voice softened. "You don't know what you've done. The council will sense that I still live. They will come. Let them come," he said. "I'll keep you safe." Lyra looked at him again, this time longer, deeper. Her glowing eyes searched his face like she was reading his soul. For a second, Ethan felt like she could see everything. His fear, his guilt, his loneliness. "Your words are true," she said quietly. "But your heart hides something." He looked surprised. "What do you mean?" "You have lost someone too," she whispered. Ethan froze. Memories flashed, his sister, her laughter, the explosion that took her ship. He looked away. "Yeah, a long time ago." "I can see it," she said softly. "Pain changes the light in your eyes." He smiled sadly. "Guess we both carry ghosts." That night, Lyra couldn't sleep. She sat beside the small engine light, watching it flicker. Every sound outside made her heart race. Somewhere deep in the fog, she could feel them. Her family. The same blood that buried her. She touched the cold floor and whispered, "I will return, Mother. And when I do, you will see my eyes one last time." Inside her mind, flashes of old memories burned like fire. Her brother laughing while throwing soil over her mother's empty stare, the council's words, "Weak blood must be buried." Her fists tightened. Her blue light glowed brighter, stronger. Ethan woke up and saw her standing near the door. "Can't sleep?" She turned her head slightly. "No, your world sleeps too easily." He smiled faintly. "We need sleep to stay sane." "I lost sanity the day they buried me," she said coldly. "Now I only need strength." Ethan stood beside her, looking out into the fog. "You don't have to do this alone." She looked at him again, her voice softer now. "Maybe not. But this road was made for me, Ethan. You saved my life, but my soul still belongs to the grave." Ethan felt a chill run through him. He realized then that he had not just saved a life. He had awakened something powerful, something broken yet unyielding. He whispered, "Whatever you're planning, promise me one thing. Don't lose what's left of your heart." She didn't answer. Instead, she looked up at the alien sky and said, "Hearts are for those who were never buried alive." As the first light of dawn touched the red hills of Zerath, Lyra stood tall for the first time since her death. Her eyes blazed with purpose. Ethan watched in silence, knowing this was only the beginning. In that moment, the buried woman had risen, not to live peacefully, but to rewrite the fate her people gave her. The sky of Zerath looked peaceful for the first time in many cycles, but peace was a lie. High above the purple clouds, Ethan's small ship floated silently. Inside, Lyra sat in the co-pilot's seat, her silver fingers tracing the glass. Below them stretched her home world. Mountains like black knives, rivers glowing faintly blue, and cities that pulsed with cruel beauty. "This is where they buried me," she said softly, "and where I will rise again." Ethan glanced at her. "You're sure you want to do this?" Her eyes didn't move from the planet. "I must. Until I face them, I am still under the ground." He sighed. "Then we do it your way. But careful. My scanners pick up strange energy fields around those cities. Looks like your council doesn't want visitors." "They never did," Lyra replied, voice cold and steady, landing in shadows. The ship descended through thick clouds. When it broke through, the main city appeared. Vareth, capital of Zerath. It was a forest of crystal towers rising from the red desert, connected by glowing bridges. But something darker moved below. Patrol drones sweeping the streets, searchlights scanning for intruders. Ethan switched off the main engine and activated the stealth module. The ship shimmered and vanished into the mist. They landed deep in the ruins outside the city, where broken stone statues lay half buried in dust. Old gods no one remembered. "This place," Ethan whispered. "What is it?" "The old quarter," Lyra said. "Before the council, before lies ruled this planet." Her glowing eyes moved slowly over the fallen statues. "My family once lived near here, before they became loyal to the council." She stepped onto the ground, the red dust clinging to her feet. Her mind filled with echoes, laughter, crying, the sound of soil hitting her face. Ethan followed her, scanning the area. "We should hide until night." Lyra nodded, but her thoughts were already far away, on the faces of those who had buried her. Memories in the dark, they hid inside an old temple. Faded walls showed carvings of winged beings holding blue fire in their hands. Truth keepers, as Lyra called them. She touched one of the carvings. "My people used to honor these," she said. Then the council erased them. They said truth makes the weak stronger. They wanted silence instead. Ethan sat beside her. "And they tried to bury truth with you." She looked at him. "Yes, but truth doesn't die. It sleeps until someone wakes it." He watched her quietly. "You're planning something, aren't you?" Lyra didn't deny it. "My family sits close to the council now. I will reach them through their greed. They love power, and I will show them fear." Her tone was calm, but her eyes burned with stormlight. Nightfall and Shadow's night came fast on Zerath. The twin moons rose, painting the ruins in silver light. Lyra wore a black cloak Ethan gave her, hiding her shining skin. Together they moved toward the outer city, silent as ghosts. The streets were empty, except for patrol drones that buzzed through the fog. Ethan used his wrist device to jam their sensors while Lyra led the way. She knew every corner, every hidden path. She had once walked these streets as a child. When they reached the edge of the city's heart, she stopped. Across the plaza stood a tall building made of glass and metal. The family house of Varen clan. Her family. Her voice trembled slightly. They live in comfort while I slept under dirt. Ethan placed a hand on her shoulder. Lyra, think before you act. If they see you, they'll call soldiers. She shook her head. They will not see me. They will only feel what they once made me feel. The first sign from a nearby rooftop, Lyra watched her old home. Through the windows she saw her mother, still beautiful but colder now, speaking with council envoys. Her brother, the one who threw the first shovel of dirt, laughed beside her. Lyra's hands clenched. Her breath became shallow. The blue light in her eyes flickered faster. Don't, Ethan whispered. Not yet, but Lyra was no longer listening. She reached into her belt and pulled out a small device Ethan didn't recognize. A black crystal core glowing faintly. What is that? He asked. Something I built from your ship's parts, she said. It reads fear. She activated it. A wave of invisible energy spread through the house. Inside, her brother suddenly stopped laughing. His hands began to shake. The lights flickered. The mirrors on the wall cracked. What's happening? Ethan asked, stepping back. They will feel what I felt, Lyra whispered. Buried, helpless, afraid. Her brother screamed, clutching his head. The mother looked around, terrified. Ethan saw it too. The air in the house grew heavy, dark. Objects floated and shattered. Lyra closed her eyes. For the first time she smiled, not with joy, but with release. Ethan's realization. When the storm of fear ended, the house was silent. The crystal dimmed. Lyra opened her eyes, breathing hard. Ethan stared at her. You said you wanted truth, not revenge. I lied, she said quietly. Revenge is my truth. He looked at her. This woman he saved now turning into something fierce and unstoppable. You think this will end your pain? She turned away. No, but it will remind them I still exist. The message before dawn, the council's drones flew across the city, searching for the source of the disturbance. Lyra and Ethan hid in the ruins again. She carved strange symbols into a broken wall, words in the old Zarathian tongue. Ethan asked, What do they mean? They mean the buried have risen. Her voice was calm, almost peaceful now. Tonight was only a whisper. Tomorrow I speak louder. Ethan looked at her glowing eyes and realized something terrifying. The woman he had saved from death was no longer the same. She was something the universe hadn't seen before. A broken truth reborn as vengeance. And deep inside he wasn't sure if he could still save her, or if she was beyond saving. The twin moons of Zerath hung high in the sky, pale and watchful, as if they knew what was coming. The city of Vareth slept under the cold glow of artificial lights, but in its silence, something ancient had awakened, something buried, forgotten, and now walking again. Lyra stood on the edge of a crumbling rooftop, her cloak fluttering in the dry wind. Below her, the city pulsed with soft blue light, a living maze of glass and metal. Her eyes glowed brighter than the streets beneath her. Ethan crouched behind her, watching the scanner. We can still leave, he said quietly. Before you do something you can't undo, she didn't turn. They already did something they cannot undo. I'm only returning what was given, he sighed. This isn't justice. It's destruction. Her voice was calm, almost gentle. Sometimes destruction is justice. Then she jumped. The first target. She landed silently in the shadowed street below like a ghost made of silver light. Ethan followed her from the distance, unseen, afraid. Their first target was Darren, Lyra's older brother, the one who threw the first handful of dirt on her grave. Now he was a security chief for the city's energy district, rich and untouchable, but not tonight. Lyra moved through the back alleys, her senses wide open. She could hear every heartbeat, every lie that hung in the air. When she reached the district tower, she looked up. Thousands of glowing panels climbed toward the sky. Inside, Darren sat in his office, drinking amber liquid, staring at the hologram reports. Lyra placed her palm on the wall. The black crystal device in her creation pulsed once. The building's lights flickered. The air thickened. Inside, Darren looked around. Who's there? His reflection in the glass window twisted, the face changing, dirt covering it, eyes glowing blue. He dropped his glass, shattering it. No, it can't be, the reflection spoke. You buried me. He stumbled backward. Lyra, you're dead. The reflection smiled. The glass exploded. The room filled with light, and Darren screamed as his mind collapsed into his own guilt. When the light faded, he was gone. Body still, eyes wide open, trapped forever in the fear he gave her. From outside, Lyra whispered. The humans doubt back at their hideout. Ethan paced the floor. You killed him, didn't you? Lyra sat silently, cleaning the crystal core. He killed me first. That's not the same, he said. You're becoming what you hate. She looked up at him. You speak of mercy. But mercy is for the living, Ethan. They buried me alive. I was dead before your ship ever found me. Ethan slammed his hand on the table. You're not dead anymore. You're alive. Because you chose to be. Don't waste that. For the first time, her calm cracked. Her voice trembled, full of fire and pain. You don't understand what it's like to scream under the soil, to taste death and know your family put you there. You saved my body, Ethan, but my soul never left that grave. The air around them pulsed with her power, making the lights shake. Ethan stepped back, his voice soft. Then let me help you find your soul again. Not destroy it, but she turned away. You can't save someone who's already buried. The second target, the next night, she went after Rin, her cousin, the one who led the guards when they sealed her grave. He lived in the luxury district, guarded by drones and shields. Lyra approached in silence, her steps soundless, her eyes sharp with purpose. She entered through the power lines, hacking them with a small device Ethan once taught her to use. Thank you, human, she whispered. Your knowledge serves revenge well. Inside the house, Rin was asleep, surrounded by riches, glowing stones, fine fabrics, air perfumed with gold dust. Lyra placed a small sphere on the ground. It rolled silently and opened like a flower, releasing blue mist. The mist carried whispers. Her voice multiplied and distorted. Rin, did you think the ground would keep me forever? He woke up, terrified. The walls trembled. The mist formed shapes, hands reaching from the air the same way soil once reached for her. He screamed and ran for the door, but it sealed shut. The whispers grew louder. Feel it, cousin. Feel the grave closing. When the mist faded, Rin lay still, heart stopped by terror alone. From the shadows, Lyra whispered, 2. The Human's Choice Ethan found the news on the holoscreen. 2 sudden deaths of council families. No trace left. The city trembles, he clenched his fists. She's doing this one by one. He took his weapon and set out to find her. He didn't want to fight her, but he couldn't let her become a monster. When he reached the ruins, he found her standing among flickering lights, her cloak torn, her face unreadable. Lyra, stop, he said. You've done enough. She turned, voice calm but eyes burning. I've done nothing yet. They're only 2. The council still breathes. This isn't justice anymore, he said. It's a war. Her smile was faint, almost sad. Then it's time they learn what war feels like. Ethan lifted his weapon slowly. If I have to stop you, I will. Lyra stepped closer until their faces were inches apart. You won't, she said softly. Because you saw what they did. Because you still believe I deserve to live, and with that, she vanished, her body dissolving into light, leaving only her whisper behind. The fear spreads by the next dawn. Whispers of the buried ghost spread across Vareth. Guards refused night duty. The council called emergency meetings. People claimed to see glowing eyes in mirrors, voices in their walls. And in the ruins beyond the city, Lyra watched it all, her heart cold and steady. Ethan stood far behind her, eyes full of sadness. You're turning the world into the same grave they put you in, she didn't answer. Her gaze stayed fixed on the city as she whispered, 3 more to go. The wind carried her voice across the silent desert, where even the stars seemed afraid to shine. The city of Vareth was no longer silent. Fear had become its heartbeat. Every window carried shadows that whispered her name, Lyra. Every council guard looked behind his shoulder when the night grew too quiet. The air itself seemed to breathe her revenge, but Lyra was not satisfied. 2 were gone. 3 still lived. Her mother, her father, and the council leader who had ordered her burial. She stood on a rocky hill overlooking the shining city. The light reflected in her silver skin, but her eyes were darker than ever. Ethan stood beside her, his jacket torn, his face tired. "Is this what you wanted?" he asked quietly. "They're terrified. The whole planet talks about a ghost walking in the dark." "I am not a ghost," she said. "I am the voice they tried to silence." He shook his head. "You're becoming something else, Lyra. Something colder." She looked at him for a moment. "Cold is all that kept me alive in that grave." Then she turned toward the city. "It's time to face my blood." Returned to the House of Lies that night, she entered the old family mansion once more. The air smelled of perfume and dust. Her footsteps echoed through long, empty halls where portraits hung, her ancestors proud and cruel. In the grand hall stood her mother, alone, wrapped in silk. Her once perfect face looked older, tired. Her eyes widened when she saw the shadow in the doorway. "Lyra," she whispered. "No, it can't be you." Lyra stepped forward. "You buried me, Mother. But the ground refused to keep me." Tears filled her mother's eyes. "We had no choice." "The council," Lyra interrupted, voice sharp. "You had a choice. You could have saved me. You could have stood against them." The woman trembled. "You don't understand, child. If we disobeyed, they would have killed us all. The council said you carried something forbidden." "Forbidden?" Lyra repeated. Her mother looked away. "The power in your eyes. It is not from our kind. You were born different because of your father's secret." Lyra froze. "My father?" "Yes," her mother said. "He hid it for years. The truth could destroy our name." She turned toward a glass chamber and pressed a panel. A hidden door opened behind the wall. Inside lay holographic records, glowing files of DNA, family symbols, and a strange mark Ethan had never seen before. Lyra walked closer, her heart pounding. "What is this?" Her mother's voice cracked. "Your father was part of the first contact team, the ones who met the humans decades ago. He touched forbidden technology and it changed his blood. You were born, half human." The shocking truth, the air went still. Ethan stared at her, speechless. "Half human?" Lyra whispered. Her fingers shook as she touched the floating symbols. "That's why my eyes see truth. That's why they hated me." Her mother nodded, crying softly. "The council feared what you could become. They said your existence would break the purity of Zerath bloodlines. They ordered us to end it quietly." "And you obeyed," Lyra said, her voice cold as ice. Her mother fell to her knees. "I begged them to spare you. I swear it. But your father disappeared before I could stop it. I did what I had to, Tanner, for survival." Lyra's eyes glowed brighter, reflecting tears she refused to show. "You buried me to protect your name. Not to protect me." Her mother lowered her head. "Maybe I did. But I never stopped hearing your voice in my dreams. Every night I heard the soil close over you." Lyra turned away. For the first time, her anger trembled. Beneath it was pain. Deep, unending pain. Ethan stepped closer. "Lyra, you're part human. That means you're not alone. You have both worlds inside you." She looked at him. "Then maybe that's why I can't belong to either." The father's secret. Before Lyra could speak again, an alarm sounded. Red light flashed through the house. "Council drones," Ethan said. "They found us." Lyra's mother gasped. "They must have tracked you here. Go, they will kill you both." Lyra grabbed her mother's wrist. "Where is my father?" Her mother hesitated.
"He lives
beyond the northern gates, exiled. The council called him a traitor. He may be the only one who can tell you the full truth." Lyra's eyes hardened. "Then I'll find him." She turned toward the door, but her mother caught her hand. "Please, Lyra. If you go, they'll destroy you too. You don't know what the council has become." Lyra looked back, her expression unreadable. "They already destroyed me once." Then she was gone, a flash of blue light, vanishing into the night. Council's warning Ethan and Lyra escaped through the old tunnels beneath the mansion as the drones swarmed above. Their lights cut through the darkness, searching for her. As they ran, Ethan spoke between breaths. "Half human." "Lyra, that means you—" "Don't," she interrupted. "I'm nothing. Not alien, not human. Just something the universe buried by mistake." He grabbed her arm. "You're something powerful. They're afraid of you for a reason." She stared at him for a long second, then whispered, "Power means nothing if the heart behind it is dead. Before Ethan could reply, a hologram flickered in the air, a transmission from the council high tower. A cold, mechanical voice echoed, "Lyra Varen, you are charged with defiance against the Supreme Council. You are a creature of mixed blood, a contamination. You will be erased." The message ended. Lyra's face turned to steel. "They call me a contamination? Then let them taste the disease they created." Ethan's fear that night, they hid inside the remains of an old communication tower. The storm howled outside, lightning splitting the sky. Ethan looked at her as she sat near the broken window, eyes glowing faintly. "If you go to your father, will you stop this?" he asked. She didn't answer. Her gaze was distant, filled with something darker than rage, understanding. "The truth was supposed to set me free," she whispered. "Instead, it gave me a reason to burn their lies." Ethan's voice trembled. "You're not the same woman I saved." She looked at him finally. "You're wrong. This is who I was always meant to be." The storm outside grew louder, and in its thunder, the ghost of the buried woman became something new, neither human nor alien, but something greater, something unstoppable, and for the first time Ethan wondered if saving her had doomed them all. The storm over Zerath had not ended for days. Lightning burned across the black sky like veins of white fire, and the city below trembled under the weight of fear and chaos. Lyra stood at the edge of an ancient cliff, her silver skin glowing faintly in the stormlight. Behind her, the ruins of an old communication tower hummed with dying power. In her hands, the truth crystal flickered, a fragment of alien and human code fused together. It was proof of what she was, half human, half alien, entirely alone. Ethan watched her from a few steps away. His eyes were heavy with conflict, torn between the woman he had saved and the weapon she had become. "You don't have to fight them all," he said quietly. "We can still leave. I can take you away from this planet." She didn't turn. Her voice was distant, hollow. "And go where, Ethan? To Earth, to be studied in cages? To be called a monster by your kind instead of mine?" He hesitated. "Maybe there's a place where you could be more than vengeance." She looked over her shoulder, eyes glowing with cold fire. "I can't be more than what they made me. You think you saved me that day, but all you did was dig up the ghost they tried to bury." Ethan's heart sank. He didn't know what scared him more, her words, or how much truth they carried. The council's offer. That night, while Lyra rested inside the old shelter, Ethan moved outside to scan for approaching drones. The communicator on his wrist buzzed unexpectedly. He froze, a signal. Human frequency. He pressed the button. "This is Ethan Ward. Who is this?" A voice came through, calm, professional, and cold. "Ethan Ward, this is Commander Voss of the Human Alliance vessel Starreach. We've been tracking your signal. You are not alone out there." Ethan blinked in disbelief. "Voss, you're alive?" "Alive and orbiting Zerath," the voice replied. "We've received reports about a half-human subject. The Council contacted us. They claim she's a threat, a hybrid weapon." Ethan's breath caught. "She's not a weapon. She's unstable," Voss interrupted. "We've seen the energy signatures, Ethan. Cities losing power, entire systems collapsing. The Council wants her neutralized, but we want her contained." "Contained," Ethan repeated, his stomach twisting. "Bring her in quietly. You'll be protected. You'll be a hero to both sides. But if she resists, use any means necessary." The signal cut out. Silence returned, except for the storm. Ethan lowered his wrist slowly. His mind raced. He looked back toward the shelter where Lyra slept under the faint blue light of her crystal. For the first time, Ethan realized that every side, human and alien, feared her. And both wanted her controlled. The weight of lies hours later, Lyra woke and saw Ethan staring into the fire, his face pale. "You look like you've seen a ghost," she said. He tried to smile. "Maybe I have." Lyra sat beside him, watching the flames. "The Council will come soon. Their armies move fast. You should go before they find you." Ethan turned to her. "And leave you alone again?" She gave a small, sad smile. "It's what I am, alone. It's the only way I stay alive." He shook his head. "No, not this time." He reached into his jacket, fingers brushing against the small metallic injector the commander had given him. A weapon disguised as a sedative. One push and she would fall unconscious. The ship would track the signal. He clenched his hand, guilt burning through him. "Ethan," Lyra said softly, as if she could feel his thoughts. "You're lying to yourself," he froze. She looked at him, her eyes glowing brighter. Your heartbeat changed. "You have a secret," he swallowed hard. "It's nothing." She leaned closer. "You forget what I am. I see truth, remember?" Their eyes met, blue fire against human brown. For a moment, no words were needed. She saw everything. The communicator. The betrayal. The fear. Her voice broke. "You were going to hand me over." Ethan's heart sank. "Lyra, listen." "Why?" she demanded. "After everything I told you, everything you saw, you still choose them?" He stepped forward. "I didn't choose them. I chose survival. They'll kill us both if I don't." She pushed him back with a burst of energy that sent him crashing into the wall. "You think I feared death?" she shouted. "They already buried me once. Death is an old friend." The crystal in her hand glowed fiercely. The walls shook. Ethan raised his hand. "Lyra, stop. I didn't want to hurt you. I just didn't know what else to do." Her voice trembled, half fury, half heartbreak. "You were the only human I ever trusted." Lightning split the roof open above them. Rain poured in, sizzling on the hot metal floor. Ethan stepped closer despite the danger. "Then trust me now. I'll make it right." She cut him off. "No, you already chose your side." The broken bond outside, council ships appeared like black stars descending through the storm. Red lights flashed across the horizon. Lyra looked up, eyes narrowing. "They've come." Ethan followed her gaze, horror spreading across his face. "Lyra, please don't fight them. There's too many." She didn't answer. Her body began to glow brighter, her energy spiraling like liquid fire. "They want a weapon? I'll show them what they created." She raised her hands. The air cracked with thunder. "Lyra, stop!" Ethan shouted, grabbing her arm. Her glowing eyes turned toward him, filled with tears. "You should have let me stay buried." Then she unleashed it. A shock wave of pure light that tore through the storm. The council ships above exploded into fragments, the sky turning into a sea of fire. Ethan was thrown back by the blast, hitting the ground hard. His vision blurred, his ears ringing. When the light faded, Lyra stood alone in the rain, surrounded by burning wreckage. Her silver skin shimmered like molten glass. She looked at Ethan, broken, alive, staring at her in awe and terror. "You betrayed me," she whispered. "And still, I cannot hate you." She turned away, walking into the rain, leaving him behind. Ethan's realization. When he woke hours later, the storm was gone. Smoke rose from the horizon where the council ships had fallen. He looked at the small metallic injector lying near his hand, the one he never used. He picked it up and threw it into the fire. Then he whispered, "Lyra, I'll find you. Even if the whole universe fears you, I won't stop." Far away, high on the mountains, Lyra stood watching the dawn. Her eyes reflected both sadness and strength. She knew he would come for her again, but this time their paths would not meet as savior and saved, but as enemies bound by love and betrayal. The sun rose weakly over Zerath, casting a pale gold light across the ruins of a once great world. Smoke curled upward from the shattered cities, and silence hung heavy where the council once ruled. Lyra stood at the center of it all, the half-human, half-alien who had broken empires. Her silver skin shimmered faintly under the morning light, but her eyes were tired, haunted. Around her feet lay the remnants of the council's banners, now nothing more than ashes. She looked toward the horizon. There, on the edge of the ruins, a single ship approached, small, human-built, its engines whispering through the dust. She didn't move. She already knew who it was. Ethan. The meeting. The ship landed softly, kicking up waves of red dust. Ethan stepped out, his uniform torn, his eyes shadowed by regret. He looked older, weaker, as if the storm of betrayal had aged him years. "Lyra," he said softly, walking toward her. She didn't turn around. "You came back." "I had to," he said. "I couldn't end it like that." She slowly faced him, her expression unreadable. "Why, Ethan? To finish what you started? To hand me over again?" He shook his head. "No, I came to stop this. You destroyed the council. You've won. But if you keep going, you'll destroy yourself too." Her eyes glowed faintly. "You think this is about victory? I was never fighting to win. I was fighting to remember who I was." He stepped closer. "Then remember that I didn't save a monster. I saved a woman who still had light left inside her. Her voice trembled. That light died in the grave. The echo of humanity wind swept through the ruins, carrying the sound of broken metal. The two stood in the silence of a dead empire. Ethan took a deep breath. Do you know why I saved you, Lyra? It wasn't orders. It wasn't duty. I saw someone who refused to die, even when the universe tried to bury her. That kind of strength, that's rare. She looked at him, her voice softer now. And yet you tried to betray it. I know, he whispered. And I'll carry that mistake forever. He reached into his pocket and pulled out something small, the broken half of the truth crystal, the same one that once held her father's secret. This is yours. Lyra stared at it. It belongs to no one now. It holds only pain. Ethan closed his hand around it. Pain isn't always the enemy. Sometimes it's what reminds us we're alive. The final choice above them, the clouds began to swirl again. Strange blue energy bled from the cracks in the sky, the aftershock of Lyra's power. The planet itself seemed to be reacting to her presence. Ethan looked up. You've connected with the planet's core. Your energy's tearing it apart. Lyra closed her eyes. Maybe it should fall. Let this world bury itself like it buried me. Ethan grabbed her shoulders. No, you can still stop it. Her eyes opened, glowing bright and wild. Stop it, this world never stopped me. Why should I show it mercy? Because you're more than this, he said desperately. You're not just alien, not just human. You're the bridge between both. You were meant to change things, not destroy them. For the first time she hesitated. Her hands trembled. Her power flickered. I can't control it anymore, she whispered. It's inside me, growing. Then let me help, Ethan said. She looked at him, her voice breaking. You can't help me, Ethan, not this time. The light of sacrifice, a deep rumble shook the ground. Cracks of glowing blue light spread across the desert like veins of fire. The planet was dying, collapsing under the energy that flowed from her half-human blood. Ethan's scanner screamed warnings. The core is destabilizing. You'll burn everything. Lyra looked at the horizon where her world once thrived. Then it ends with me. She stepped forward, the ground glowing beneath her feet. Energy began to rise from her body, swirling upward into the clouds. Ethan ran after her, shouting over the roaring wind. Lyra, you'll die. She turned, smiling softly. A real smile, the first in what felt like ages. I already did, remember? He shook his head, eyes wet. No, you lived. You fought. You found something beyond revenge. Lyra's voice was calm now, almost peaceful. You gave me life, Ethan. Now I'll use it to give this world one more chance. The light around her grew blinding. She raised her hands toward the sky and the storm responded. Bolts of blue energy wrapped around her body, spiraling higher until she looked like a star about to explode. Ethan shielded his eyes, shouting her name. Lyra! Her last words echoed through the storm, soft, human, and full of peace. Thank you for digging me out. Then the world turned white, the rebirth of Zerath. When the light faded, silence fell again. The wind stopped. The clouds split apart, revealing a calm golden sky. Ethan opened his eyes slowly. The ruins were gone. In their place, green sprouts grew from the red soil. Rivers of blue energy flowed gently through the cracks, no longer wild but pure and alive. The planet had healed. He stood alone at the center of a new dawn, the truth crystal lying in the dust. He picked it up and looked to the horizon. You did it, he whispered. You saved them. Above him, the twin moons shone brighter than ever, and for a moment he swore he saw her. A faint shape of light, standing at the edge of the rising sun, watching him. He smiled sadly. Rest now, Lyra, you're free. Years later, many cycles passed. The Human Alliance and the new Zerathian Order rebuilt the planet together. They named it Lyrith Prime, in memory of the woman who united them through pain and sacrifice. Children were told her story. The alien who was buried alive, saved by a human, and who rose again not for vengeance, but for truth. In the rebuilt capital, a statue stood, half metal, half crystal, showing a woman reaching toward the sky, her hand open, holding light, and beneath it, carved in both human and Zerathian language, were her final words. Even buried in darkness, light remembers its way home. Ethan visited the statue often. His hair had turned gray, his body slower, but his eyes still carried that same quiet fire. He would stand in silence, looking up as the wind whispered through the city. Sometimes when the night grew quiet, he could almost hear her voice, soft, distant, and filled with warmth. "You dug me out, Ethan, but I found my own light." And for the first time in years, Ethan smiled, not with sorrow but with peace.